Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute, and we are doing our cultural creations class today with crocheting and Dana. The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit that promotes positive dialogue between different cultures, religion, faiths, getting to know your next door neighbor, and just having those positive conversations about stuff. Um, and the way we feel we do that is through educational, cultural, and interfaith programs. And we have over 200 videos on our Atlantic Institute SC YouTube channel. So check that out so that you can see all the videos that we have out there for the different programs we do. And now I'm going to turn over this to Dana, and she's going to show us some crocheting techniques. And Dana, which one do you want me to spotlight first?
You can do my face first. Thank you.
Okay.
Also, I see somebody else is in the waiting room. I don't know if it's, oh yeah, there's two more people in the waiting room. Um, just putting that out there. All right. Well, hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming to this class today. I am excited to teach crocheting cables. Um, I love this topic because I think cables look really advanced, but they're actually very simple once you see how they're done. So out of curiosity, how many people have experience with crochet? Like, are there like total beginners here? Are there folks who know some basic stitches, advanced? Maybe you can either put it in the comments or feel free to just shout it out. Karen says blankets only. Me too. I've done a couple like shawls, scarves. I basically just do rectangles. That's all I like to do. Chris is a beginner. Very good. Carmen has some experience. Very good. Basic knowledge, simple blankets, hats. Very good. Awesome. Okay, I think this class is perfect for this group today. So yay, awesome. Okay. We can, oh, and I guess I could share just briefly about my background. I worked for Fave Crafts for 11 years. And so that's, I was immersed in that crafty world for a long time. And a couple of years ago, I started my own crochet blog where I design primarily baby blankets, some dishcloths, and I have one shawl on there so far. So again, rectangles is all I do, but I like mindless patterns or easy to memorize patterns, and cables, again, although they look challenging, they're easy to memorize. So Paula, you could go to my hands now. Um, Very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so in this class today, I'm going to show you 3 types of cables, and they just build on each other. So we've got what looks like just a straight line. Some people call them just straight cables. I learned this as the bar stitch. And then here we've got a skinny cable that's 2 stitches wide, and then our wider cables, and those are pictured on the background behind Paula, that the baby blanket that was in the sign up page. These are 4 stitches wide, and from there you can make wider cables. You could intermix the 2 or 3 to create some like really lovely designs that look intricate, but they're quite easy. So all you need is some worsted weight yarn and your 5.5 millimeter I9 crochet hook. If you have like an H hook or similar, that's totally fine too. So to get started, we're just going to chain 16. Or if you guys know foundation half double crochet, you can foundation half double crochet 15. And then you're doing your starting chain and your first row at the same time. But I'm just going to chain 16 to get started. And I guess I should say, if there's any total beginners here, you're going to want to start with a slip knot. So what I like to do is just make a loop and spin it twice. Get my fingers in there, pinch one of the strands of yarn, and pull through. And then you tighten it around your hook. And away we go. So chain 16. So just yarn over and pull through, and there's your first chain stitch. If anybody's having trouble seeing, or if my hands wander out of the window, please let me know. but I will do my best to stay put. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry. Talking and then my stitches look funky, so I'm gonna start over. Yes, get your 16 stitches on the hook for our swatch today. Okay. All right. Got my 16 stitches. All right, and now we're just going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook and in each stitch across. And then we'll end up with 15 half double crochets. So when I'm working into a starting chain, you can work multiple places into the chain, but I really prefer working into the back bump. So here's your V of that second chain from hook. You turn, try to get a good view there. If you turn it, you can see the back bumps. So I like to work into, it's going to be this back, let me see, let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. Nope, it's going to be this back bump right here. I know that's so tricky to see. So basically when you have your second chain from hook, when you turn it towards you, it's the back bump that looks like slightly to the left of the stitch, if that makes sense. But it's the second back bump from the hook. And the reason I like to do that is because it gives you a really polished starting edge. So if you're working a blanket border or just a border around whatever project you're making, you have the V's, it looks like you're working into the top of your blanket instead of the bottom. It makes it really easy to see where to place your stitches. All right, so to half double crochet is a refresher, or if there's any beginners, you're gonna yarn over, so loop the yarn over your hook and insert, again, I'm inserting into the back bump and yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And there's your first half double crochet. And so we'll go into the next one. Yarn over, insert your hook in that back bump and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all 3. I'm gonna pull some yarn from my skein, pardon me. Okay. All right. Yeah, and you'll just do that across. Use my fingernails a lot to help with this step of the process. I don't know if other people do the same thing. Makes it a little easier for me to get into the starting chain. But fairly recently, I learned how to do foundation stitches, and there's pros and cons to them, but it's nice to do your starting chain and your first row simultaneously. A couple left. And if you ended up with like 16 stitches or something, or 17, it's not a big deal for our little sample today. And the back bump of the very last stitch might be a little tricky to work into. All right, and then I'm just going to count and make sure I've got the right number before we move on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, stellar. All right. So we're going to chain one and turn. And then this row, we're just going to half double crochet across. So these are our foundation rows here. And then we'll start cables. So go ahead and half double crochet across, inserting under both loops of the top of the V. Let's see, is it only the first double stitch going through the back stitch? Or all of them? Only the first double stitch. Oh, yeah. So we were going through the back bump of the starting chain, but now we're going under both V's as we, both legs of the V. There's a lot of ways I hear this described, but we're going under both loops. So just like that. Let me know if that answered your question, Carmen. Okay, excellent. Just a few more. And then you have your 2 rows of half double crochet, and we're just going to chain one and turn again. I'm so sorry. Did I say double crochet, half double crochet? The main stitches we're going to be using for the cables, or well, for this swatch, I should say, is half double crochet and front post treble crochet. So yes, I'm so sorry if I accidentally said double crochet, half double. And this is US terms. I probably should have said that right away since we've got so many international folks. US terms. Okay, we've got our 2 rows of half double crochet, and now we're going to set up our cables. So for the swatch, we're separating each cable with 2 stitches, 2 half double crochets. So we're going to half double crochet in the first 2. And now we're going to begin our setup for the cables, which means we're going to start working post stitches. So curious if anybody is new to post stitches. I love them. They give you such beautiful texture and they're easy. And so in this next stitch here, we're going to do our first front post treble crochet. So instead of working under both loops of the V at the top of the stitch, we are isolating the whole stitch here and working so that we're bringing this post forward. And we're going to start it as we would a normal treble crochet, which means we're going to yarn over twice. So yarn over once and then wrap the hook a second time. And You can see here's the post of the first half double crochet. Here's the post of the second. We already worked into the top of those first 2 stitches. It's this next post that we're going to work into. So we wrapped our hook twice. We're going to insert behind the post, pulling it towards you. Yarn over and pull up a loop. So you should have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. And here is your first front post treble crochet. We're going to do that several more times this row. So that's our first cable. Now, when we work, we're going to work into the next 2 stitches, just regular half double crochets. You want to make sure you skip the V. That's the top of the stitch where we just worked the post stitch. If you don't skip that V, you'll increase because we worked twice into the same stitch. So skip that V and make sure you work your next half double crochet into the next stitch. So 2 half double crochet, well, half double crochet into the next 2 stitches, I should say. Now we're going to front post treble crochet into the next 2 stitches. So again, yarn over twice. Find the right post, and this gets easier after this setup row. So we worked 2 half doubles. We're going to skip 2 posts there. And in this next one, we're going to work a front post treble. So we're going to pull that towards, or push it towards us, pull it towards us. You'll insert the hook around, or yeah, around the post. Yarn over and pull up your loop. Yarn over, pull through the first 2. Yarn over, pull through the next 2. And yarn over and pull through the final 2. So there's another textural bar stitch. We're going to do the same thing in the next stitch. Yarn over twice. Insert your hook around the post. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And yarn over, pull through 2. So that's the setup for our medium-sized cable. Now we're going to half double in the next 2 stitches, skipping the tops of the 2 V's where we just worked our post stitches. So half double crochet the next stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch. And now we're going to work 4 front post treble crochets in the next 4 stitches. All right, yarn over twice. Insert your hook around the post. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. And yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over twice. Insert your hook around the post. Pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2. All right. Our third front post treble stitch. And now our 4th. You should have 2 stitches left if you did your 15 to start. So we're just going to half double in those last 2 stitches. All right. We'll set that down so we could take a look at it. So you've got your first post, you've got the 2 and the 4. And it'll get a little easier to see them in future rows as we continue to isolate those stitches. All right. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm not seeing any right now, but feel free to send any. And then the next row, easy peasy, we're going to chain 1 and turn, half double crochet across. And this time we're just working into the top of the V's. So the nice thing about many cabling patterns or even textural crochet patterns in general is often, not always, the texture is just on one side of the work. And so the instructions, so many of the rows, like every other row will just be like, oh, single crochet across, half double crochet across. So it makes it feel, to me at least, a little less intimidating. Say you have a pattern that's like an 8-row repeat and you're like, that's overwhelming. I don't know, that seems like a lot. I want to memorize this and, be able to just relax and unwind. But if 4 of the rows are just half double crochet across or single crochet across, whatever stitch you're doing, it helps. I feel like it's just less intimidating, and some of those patterns are easier to memorize than you might think. And for this entire swatch, every other row from here on out is just half double crochet across. All right, and those last loops can get a little tiny, so just be aware of that. It's really easy to tell though, if you accidentally skipped a stitch. Like you'll be able to correct that easily and quickly because of the way, like each cable is only separated. It's separated by 2 half double crochets. So if you dropped a stitch, you're like, oh, there's only one there, then you know to just go back and add that other one. All right. Sweet. Okay. This row, we're going to start cabling. So, well, I mean, we'd started cabling technically with the last row, but the twists begin. So we're going to go ahead, half double crochet in those first 2 stitches. And for our first cable, just the straight bar stitch here, we're working a front post treble crochet into that stitch. So you're technically working 2 rows back. And what you're going to do is just work around this post. It's even easier than the front post stitches we did last time. So go ahead and yarn over twice and insert your hook just behind that post, yarn over and pull up a loop, and complete your treble crochet. So there is our first bar. It might look a little wiggly for now, but as you do more rows, it looks straighter and straighter. And it's got that, it's just great texture. Great texture. And super easy. All right, skip that V. We're always skipping the V of the stitch we worked a post in front of. Half double crochet into the next 2. And here we'll do our first twisted stitch. So with cables, this is true in knitting too. You're just working stitches out of order to get that great effect. So instead of working into this first one, this first post, we're skipping it and doing our front post treble into here. So yarn over twice, insert your hook in this second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, complete your front post treble crochet. Now, since we skipped this guy, we're going to go back and work into that one. So yarn over twice, insert your hook into that post. So I'll show that again. I think I did that a little quickly. You're going to work backwards, insert your hook behind that post. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Complete your treble crochet. All right. So it doesn't look like much yet. In the next, well, 2 rows from now, we'll straighten this out and you'll be able to really see that crisscross very nicely. All right, we're going to half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. Once again, skipping the 2 V's we worked in front of. So whenever I'm working on a cable pattern, there's a lot of like turning it this way so you can see the stitch, count the stitches you missed. At least if you want. I check each time just so I don't accidentally increase or decrease. This is not fun fixing mistakes. So I'd rather just check as I go. So anyway, all right. So we did that. We're on to our widest cable. It's technically the most advanced, but it's not that hard. So grabbing some more yarn here. We are going to twist 2 stitches, basically treating it like that. So how we're going to do that is we're going to skip the first 2 and work into these. So yarn over twice, insert your hook in the 3rd cable. So skip the first 2 and insert your hook around the post there of the 3rd stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And when you're skipping those stitches, you might end up with kind of a loosey-goosey stitch there since you're reaching. You could try to be cognizant of that and like hold I don't know, tug on the yarn a bit as you work it. But this is not very visible and it's just going to be on the back of your work. So try not to worry too much about it if you have a really loosey-goosey stitch there. All right, yarn over twice and then work into the 4th cable. So insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, so we've got our first little twists going there on there. Now we have to work back into the stitches that we skipped, and we're going to go in order. So I'm right-handed, teaching this from a right-handed perspective. So we are working right to left, right? And then we're going to come back and work the first stitch and the 2nd stitch. So again, right to left. If you're left-handed, I believe you do the opposite. Unfortunately, I'm not very well versed. I guess I could have asked before I began if we had any left-handed folks in the room, but if you are working left to right, it'll be the same concept. You would work left to right and then left to right. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, go ahead and yarn over twice. Insert your hook in the first stitch, all the way back there. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2 to complete the front post treble. All right, now you might have to do a little digging to get to that last stitch you missed, but it's not too bad. Yarn over twice. Insert your hook in the final stitch of that cable. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two. There we go. And again, doesn't look like too much right now, but it'll look lovely when we straighten them out in the next row. All right, we're going to half double crochet in our last two stitches. Again, make sure you're skipping 4 stitches this time. Again, you might have some loosey-goosey, sorry, my hands were off the screen there. You might have some loosey-goosey stitches, or they might feel really loose. Well, first of all, we're just practicing, so don't worry too much about it. And the cables are, they're pretty forgiving. Crochet in general is so forgiving that you shouldn't see too much wonkiness in the finished little swatch. All right, any questions at this point? Take a sip of water. Okay, I'll keep an eye on the chat in case anybody has questions, and feel free to shout out if you are comfortable and would prefer to just ask something out loud. All right, so we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to half double crochet across. You're going to have some funky looking stitches because of the crosses, but if you just follow the path, you can see all your V's that you'll work into. And so it's a little funkier looking, but it's still just half double crochet across. All right. Again, you'll probably have some like slightly wider stitches and then some slightly tighter, oh, sorry, it's blurry. Some slightly tighter stitches and a lot of working this half double crochet row helps kind of cloak that. See, here's our widest stitch. That was right before we started that cable. And you're like, ah, that looks huge. What is that massive hole? But don't worry, it's not going to be very noticeable at all. Even already, it's a little smaller looking now that we worked into that next stitch. And when we come through later, you'll barely even notice it. Yeah, the last stitch is often a little tighter, a little slanty. Just be aware of that. If you feel comfortable or if you would prefer, you can use stitch markers in the first and last stitches of your rows too. Often I don't do that with something like a cable pattern because I know, oh, I've got 2 stitches flanking the edges before the cable detail starts. So if I ever came through and I was like, wait, why do I have 3 stitches before the cable starts? That's not right. It's easy to kind of catch those mistakes quickly, but for a pattern that's like just single crochet, like a whole blanket and single crochet, I think it's really easy to drop a stitch if you're not counting, and I don't like counting. Anything I can do to avoid counting. And so I'd rather just put a stitch marker on that first and last stitch so I know exactly where my rows end. So that's totally optional. I could have mentioned that sooner, I guess. That's a top tip of mine. All right, so this, we are straightening out the cables this row. So go ahead and half double crochet in those first 2 stitches. And now this first cable, well, the first cable, there's no straightening out because it's just a straight bar here. So do your usual yarn over twice, insert your hook, and pull up a loop, and complete your front post treble crochet. Half double crochet in the next two, making sure you skip your V of that one bar, the top of the stitch behind the bar we just worked. All right, now we're straightening out our cables. This can feel a little like a treasure hunt, especially the wider your cables are. You know, you could do a cable that's 6 stitches wide, probably even 8 or wider. The wider the cables, the more of a treasure hunt it is, but just something to be aware of. So now you're working this as though you're just working bar stitches in order. There's no skipping stitches or crossing. We're not crossing any stitches. So you're going to insert your hook in what's our first stitch there. And yarn over, pull up your loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And work into the next stitch, your front post treble. And here is that completed effect of your crossed stitch. Yay. All right. Half double crochet in the next two, skipping the 2 V's that we worked behind, or worked in front of, excuse me. And now we're going to straighten out all of these stitches from this cable. So find what is the first post. So if we hold it up here, it's this guy right there, just in order as you see it. Yarn over twice. Isolate that first post and complete your front post treble. Split my yarn. Okay, yarn over twice. And then this one is, I think maybe the hardest one to find, but you can do it. You just gotta get all the way in there. Use your fingers as needed to isolate the stitches. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. All right, we're starting to see that straightening out. And then the next 2 stitches are easy to find. You can go ahead and work your last 2 front post trebles. Okay. And we'll double crochet, sorry, half double crochet in the last 2 and skip the 4. Oh, I'm so sorry. Skip the 4 stitches where you worked your cable. All right, and now you'll really get to see the full effect of those straightened out cables. All right. And that is the pattern. So from there, you just repeat. It's for the cross, these two, the 4-row repeat. So the way I just think of it is, you half double crochet across, then you do a row where you're crossing the stitches. Another name for these particular cables is crossed towers. So you cross the towers and then you half double crochet across and you straighten out the towers and onwards until your project is complete. If you're making a blanket, maybe a scarf with some cabling, something where the length is flexible. You want to end on a right side. Excuse me, not right side. You want to end on part of the repeat where the towers are straightened, where your cables are straightened, just because otherwise we'll have those funky looking like half crossed stitches. It looks incomplete, right? So like for the sake of this pattern, I think it would look nicest to end on a wrong side row following the cross tower. So now you've got your like nice edge down here with just like one row of half double crochet, setting it up, and then you end with a row of half double crochet, to like straighten, I don't know, just to, it frames it out, frames out the cables very nicely. You've got some funky edges that just come with working, with crocheting in general. So I always like a border on something like a blanket, and then you'll get that more polished edge as well. So I only have, Central Time, it's 1:45, so I'm happy to show this again so you can see how the cables continue to like cross, and how the pattern continues to just look beautiful and twisty. If folks need to go, this is the basic gist. Half double crochet in the first two, and then we're gonna cross our towers again, except for the bar stitch. So I like these bar stitches a lot to frame out maybe a different stitch, or you can put the bars right next to the cables to just help them stand out more, or continue to look, just like more detailed, more polished, more intricate. They look more intricate, but they're so easy. I really love patterns that are easier than they look. Big fan. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm on like autopilot now. Okay, so we're getting to cross the towers here. So a little more yarn. Yarn over twice. Skip that first stitch and work into the second bar. Complete your front post treble. And yarn over twice, and then go backwards into this guy, into the skipped stitch. And complete that. And again, it doesn't look like much when you first do it, but when you straighten them out, you get that full effect. Skip your 2 stitches. You're doing 2 half doubles, and then here we're crossing the wider cable. So skip the first 2. You're basically like, the wider your cables get, you're splitting them in half at this point. So if you have a cable that's 6 stitches wide, you'll skip the first 3 and then go back and do the first 3. I've never done a cable 8 stitches wide, but I imagine it exists. And you would then split it, you skip the first 4 and then work back into the 4 skipped stitches. All right. So just to show that again, I skipped the first 2, worked my front post trebles, then yarn over twice, go back into that first stitch, yarn over, yarn over twice, insert into that last stitch that we skipped, and complete the front post treble. Then half double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And that last one on the edge always seems to get a little tight. Just be aware of that. So again, like if you were to end your pattern here, it looks kind of like a funky ending. So we definitely want to straighten those out in the next 2 to 3 rows. Chain 1 and turn, and half double crochet across. Again, just following the path of the row you worked into. All right. I would love to know people's thoughts of like, is this people's first time attempting cables? Have you had experience with post stitches before? And yeah, what do you think? I think they're so much easier. I always thought, nope, I'm not touching cables with a 10-foot pole. That looks way too hard. And then when I saw just like a short video tutorial, I was like, wait a second, that's super easy. Especially if you have familiarity with post stitches. Like for me, I learned how to do the waffle stitch I don't know, a couple of years ago now. And that's a really good introductory stitch to just like front post double crochets. And produces a beautiful fabric. It's so cozy. So you could do waffle stitch as a good like intro to post stitches. Sorry, I'm bumping my stand here. And then, so I already had the familiarity with post stitches. And then I learned, yeah, I saw that video about cables and I was like, hang on, that is so much easier than I thought it would be. Again. And then here we're straightening them out. Okay, wonderful. Let's see, Aracelis. I hope I'm pronouncing that close to right. She says, never done it, looks beautiful. Yeah, I love how cables look. My favorite projects to make are baby blankets. I'm in a stage of life where many of my loved ones are having babies, which is wonderful. So I'm going to a lot of baby showers and it's really fun. It's really fun to give a blanket that looks really fancy when it's easy and relaxing to make. Um, yeah, I I really like having those like wow moments. Not that that's what it's all about, but it's fun. It's fun. All right, and yeah, we're just straightening the towers now, so going in order. Skip the two you worked in front of. Half double crochet in the next two. Oh, awesome. So Carmen is asking what would be a nice yarn to make a good quality baby blanket. I was going to ask you guys too what you thought. This one, I'm always looking for yarn recommendations too. So I've been trying new yarns all the time. So there's a lot of yarns that are specifically marketed as like baby yarn. Usually they're pastel colors and soft, sweet colors. Usually baby yarn, I would say it should be like 100% of the time, but baby yarn will have that. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but it's this Oeko Tex certification, which just says it's not made without harmful chemicals. Um, so like baby yarn is a good place to start. Usually baby yarn is 100% acrylic. 100% acrylic is super easy to care for. As like a mom of three small children myself, I am not hand washing a baby blanket. It's not happening. And so if somebody gave me some blanket that was hand wash only, I would be like, that's so beautiful, and I will never use it. Like I would just, it would be decor, right? And so, 100% acrylic is really good, easy to care for. A lot of people really like Red Heart yarn. It feels, well, some of the uh, common chatter is that, you know, it feels kind of scratchy when you're working with it, but the more you wash and dry it, the softer it gets. Um, there's Knit Picks or We Crochet. They're the same, they sell the same yarn, these two companies. Um, they have a yarn called Brava. It's a worsted weight, 100% acrylic. And I used it recently. and I washed the blanket before I gave it to the new mom. And it was so soft when it came out of the dryer. Like it felt soft to work with anyway, but it was so soft coming out of the dryer just the first time I washed it. So that was really cool. Um, I if you have Hobby Lobby near you, I really like this is I love this yarn. They've got a zillion colors to choose from, and it's very affordable. Their yarn goes on sale every other week. It's on like that schedule for 30% off. So I go there a lot. I don't know how many people have heard about Joanne Fabrics closing. They have their own yarn called Big Twist that's also super popular for baby blankets or just blankets in general. I don't know if they've got that certification on it, that again, that Oweco Tex. I don't know. And it's it says on their label to like dry flat or to air dry, which is okay, but I just really like the convenience of being like, yeah, you can wash and dry this. Okay, and then the last good option I would say is 100% cotton, or a cotton acrylic blend are also really popular. I guess like moms that are more like natural minded would probably appreciate 100% cotton. Often you either can't machine dry it or like it could shrink or it won't be as color fast. But and it's a little pricier. Cotton's pricier than acrylic. So those would be some cons. But if there's a new mom who's like, no, I do not want acrylic, I don't want any like man-made fibers, I want cotton, then or I want natural fibers, then cotton would be good. There's also superwash wool. I don't have a lot of experience using that, or like a wool cotton blend. Some babies have sensitive skin to wool, even if it's super soft. So I like the washability is great of superwash, but it's yeah, you would just have to worry a little about the sensitivity. So that was a long monologue. I've been deep into researching and like I really want to have like a go-to favorite baby yarn, and I'm not there yet because I keep trying new ones, and I do really like Hobby Lobby though. I mean, the Hobby Lobby is almost in walking distance from my house, so that's another reason it's like so convenient. Okay, I'm just gonna have double crochet across for this final row. But yeah, keep the questions coming if you guys have any others. I love talking about making baby blankets. Off camera again. Sorry about that. And then I didn't write down the pattern for this specific swatch. So if anybody like specifically wanted the written pattern for this, you could let me know. I could whip it up and email it to you. Or there are a few patterns on my website, and I can link them in the comments. I have a step-by-step photo tutorial of making one of the types of cables on my blog. And I have 3 patterns so far that feature cables. I guess technically 4. So I've got one that uses the bar stitch. So I've got several patterns, several baby blanket patterns on my website. I could drop some of those in the comments. Actually, here, I'll just grab this tag that's got my cable patterns so far. So if you're interested in making baby blankets with cables, those are my patterns so far. I have another one coming out in April that that has this kind of texture. And yeah, if you're interested in making baby blankets, mainly I do baby blankets once in a while. I'm doing more like prayer shawls now. Um, if you're interested in getting notified when I release new patterns, they are all memorizable. That is a goal of mine as a crocheter and a designer. They are all memorizable. I just want to be able to relax and pick it up and put it down, especially if I get interrupted by my 3 babies at home. So memorizable crochet patterns, and they're all free. There's paid PDFs available if you want a printable version of the pattern. Otherwise, they are all free on my ad-supported website. All right. Paula, if you want to go back to my face or just take off the spotlight, yeah, I think we're done.
Sorry, I'm over here talking away and I'm muted. I want to say that's awesome. You made us a dishcloth in an hour. So that is awesome. Thank you very much. Anybody have any more questions? Hey, Dana, say your your name on the video so that when somebody watches this 3 months from now, they can go to your website because the chat does not show up on the videos. So
Oh, yes, thank you. My name is Dana Neild and my website is dananeild.com where you can get free crochet baby blanket patterns that are easy to memorize.
awesome. Yes. All right, everybody. I believe that's it for the day. I want to thank Dana. That was awesome. I love that she did the 1, 2, the 4. Yes. Thank you very much. I am going to stop the recording now if nobody has any questions. Oops. All right.